Open document with default OS application in Python, both in Windows and macOS. I need to be able to open a document using its default application in Windows and macOS. Basically, I want to do the same thing that happens when you double-click on the document icon in Explorer or Finder. What is the best way to do this in Python?
Open and start a command interpreter things for macOS/X and Windows respectively, to do this. To call them from Python, you can either use subprocess module or os.system. Here are considerations on which package to use. You can call them via os.system, which works, but escaping os.system only works with file names that don't have any spaces or other shell meta characters in the path name. For example, a column abc\def\a.text, or else these need to be escaped. There is schlex.quote for Unix-like systems, but nothing really standard for Windows. Maybe see also Python, Windows, parsing command lines with schlex. macos/x, os.system open plus schlex.quote file name. Windows, os.system start plus file name, where properly speaking file name should be escaped, too. You can also call them via subprocess module, but for Python 2.7 and newer, simply use. In Python 3.5+ you can equivalently use the slightly more complex but also somewhat more versatile. If you need to be compatible all the way back to Python 2.4, you can use subprocess.call and implement your own error checking. Now, what are the advantages of using subprocess? Security. In theory, this is more secure, but in fact we're needing to execute a command line one way or the other. In either environment, we need the environment and services to interpret, get paths, and so forth. In neither case are we executing arbitrary text, so it doesn't have an inherent but you can type file name rmrf/problem, and if the file name can be corrupted, using subprocess.call gives us little additional protection. Error handling. It doesn't actually give us any more error detection. We're still depending on the read code in either case, but the behavior to explicitly raise an exception in the case of an error will certainly help you notice if there is a failure, though in some scenarios, a traceback might not at all be more helpful than simply ignoring the error. Spawns a non-blocking subprocess. We don't need to wait for the child process, since we're by problem statement starting a separate process. To the objection but subprocess is preferred. However, os.system is not deprecated, and it's in some sense the simplest tool for this particular job. Conclusion. Using os.system is therefore also a correct answer. A marked disadvantage is that the Windows start command requires you to pass in shell equals true, which negates most of the benefits of using subprocess. Use the subprocess module available on Python 2.4+, not os.system, so you don't have to deal with shell escaping. The double parentheses are because subprocess.call wants a sequence as its first argument, so we're using a tuple here. On Linux systems with GNOME there is also a GNOME open command that does the same thing, but XDG Open is the free desktop foundation standard and works across Linux desktop environments.
I prefer. Note that this module supports file names that have spaces in their folders and files, for example. Python docs, open does not have to be added, it is the default. The docs specifically mention that this is like double-clicking on a file's icon in Windows Explorer. This solution is Windows only.
Just for completeness, it wasn't in the question, xtinc open will do the same on Linux.
If you want to see more, please consider subscribe link.